855-839-1210 on X at Rich Zeoli. Great to have you with us today. It's going to be a busy day. The president, a little bit later, is going to posthumously award, or I should say award posthumously, the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Charlie Kirk, posthumously, obviously, since he's no longer with us. And the president's going to do that at a big ceremony at the White House, which we will take live for you. This is obviously very important, very historic, and we plan on doing that. The other thing is there's a lot of emotional reunions among hostages after the hostages were released by Hamas. And the president just finished speaking at the Oval Office with the press a few moments ago. What's amazing are the Democrats who still refuse to give him any credit for this. I mean, not shocking, but a little bit amazing. And the other thing, too, is that Barack Obama continues to lecture. This time it's Latinos, Latino men who voted for Trump. Remember, he was lecturing the brothers back in the race with Kamala Harris for being sexist and not voting for Kamala Harris because she was a woman. So he was lecturing black men. Now he's lecturing Latino men. So, doing his typical Barack Obama lecturing, what he does all the time. And why the Democrat Party, people can't stand them because they hate being lectured to. Nobody likes being lectured to. Nobody. There's lots of reasons why people vote. And they're not crayons. They all don't belong in a box. But unfortunately, the Democrats keep putting people in boxes like they are crayons. And they go, oh, you're this race. You're this color of your skin. You're this. Therefore, you must vote this way. And if you don't, well, then they come after you about it. And that's what they do. But the big story of the hour brought to you by Dr. Mike Veneria, Veneria Dental. Go see him today for your perfect smile. Venaria, veneriadental.com. 2 locations to serve you in Cinnaminson and Woodbury. Is that after Mikie Sherrill attacked Jack Ciattarelli at the debate for killing tens of thousands of people, she's still doubling down on it. And it shows you that her campaign has no message, has no vision, and is losing. Now, where does the race stand? It's very close. No doubt about that. It's very close. And it is going to depend on turnout. Like I've been saying, this is a turnout election. Every election is different. This election is going to be about turnout. So whoever wins on election night, we're all together on election night, or wherever we're going to be on election night. I don't know where I'll be. I don't know where you'll be. I don't know what our plan is. But wherever we are, if Jack wins, it's because Republicans turned out. That's why it's crazy that she keeps comparing him or saying that he's MAGA, because he needs MAGA to win. He needs Republicans who voted for Donald Trump to turn out and vote for him in big numbers. And if he does, he wins. By the way, thank you for coming out to the event last night with Jack Carr. We had an amazing crowd, about 250 people. It was a phenomenal night. Jack was, as his usual self, just humble and grateful, completely just so appreciative of everyone who came out. We had a great conversation, lasted close to, I think about 70 minutes or 75 minutes or so. Took questions from the crowd, talked about his book, his shows, what's next for him. And today's at the White House with his friend and our friend, Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence. She and Jack are very close, and she invited Jack to go to the White House. It's funny because he was telling me the story backstage before we went on stage, and he's on his book tour now for Cry Havoc, and he didn't bring a suit with him because his look is flannel, green T-shirt, and then his Jack Carr hat, and with the 2 tomahawks. So he didn't pack a suit, and he was going to buy a suit, and she told him, don't buy a suit. Please don't. Just come as you are. And I said to him last night, I said, I don't know if you're going to see the president or not, but whether it's Kid Rock or whoever, he kind of takes people the way they are. So go with your brand and go with your brand and don't change that. So I don't think he's going to he wound up buying a suit for his visit at the White House today. But nevertheless, I thought that was pretty cool. So good for him. So I was on Fox News this morning, shameless plug, went up to New York to do America's Newsroom for my weekly hit. And I was asked about Mikie Sherrill and this ludicrous idea that Jack is a murderer. And I said on TV what I've been saying, which is that it is just absolutely amazing to me that she would make this claim, considering that he made marketing materials. Like he published materials and created an app. And I said, where does it end? Because, the electricity company had supplied power to the pharmaceutical companies. Are they mass murderers too? The people that made the pill bottles, the truck drivers who delivered the pill bottles. I mean, where does it end in terms of who was a murderer who was connected to the pharmaceutical companies. So I think it's just absolutely insane to me that she's going there. But when an election is this close, with less than 3 weeks to go until election day, and the polls are showing right now that her message is not resonating. So what does that mean? That means that if you're voting for her, you're not voting for her because you like her policies. You're not voting for her because you think Mikie Sherrill will be a better governor. You're basically voting for her because you think that Mikie Sherrill, you don't like Trump. That's really what it comes down to. You don't like Trump and you don't like MAGA. And that's what she's banking on. She's banking on that fact that you're going to vote against Jack, not for her, but against Jack. As far as I'm concerned, that cake is already baked. That cake is already baked, and that's just the way it is. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Jack Ciattarelli, if you don't like him, if you don't like Trump, then you're voting against him for her. But that was decided a long time ago, as in when Trump won. And it doesn't matter who the Republican is. Because unless that Republican is an anti-MAGA Republican, in which case they would never want to get out of the primary in the first place, you're not voting Republican if your hatred of Trump is that much. Now, the question is, in New Jersey, are there enough Democrats that that's what they feel in their bones every day? You watch as he creates this lasting, hopefully lasting, I mean, I think it will, but his peace with Israel and the Middle East, you watch as he helps return the hostages. I mean, he did it. Like, the president did it, and he deserves the credit for it. He got it done. You turn around and you go, do I really hate this guy? I mean, am I supposed to? I know I'm supposed to hate him, but do I really hate him? And you start going down into some of the other issues. You think about education. You say, all right, well, Mikie Sherrill is going to go with the same woke school policies. Taxes are going to be high. I mean, I don't know. There's probably more important things in the race. All right, electricity prices. And my prediction is she's going to try to blame Trump in the next few weeks for your electrical rates going up. If you live in New Jersey, she's going to blame him. She's going to say that it's because he killed the windmills and because his tariffs, and she's going to try to blame him on this. And so Jack's been saying over and over again, well, the reason why is because we're not generating enough power in New Jersey. So New Jersey has to buy power and bring it into the state. So it's going to be a question of which argument do you believe? But if you're running a campaign and the campaign is everything is Donald Trump's fault, in a state where Trump only lost the state by less than 6%, and they weren't even trying. There was no effort to get him elected. There was no Scott Pressler in New Jersey. Pressler was in PA. Cliff Maloney was not knocking doors in Jersey. He was knocking doors in PA. And they've already, Cliff Maloney's group, Chasing New Jersey, or NJ Chase, I should say, they've already knocked on over 500,000 doors. Over 500,000 doors. I mean, that's impressive. And their goal is to knock on even more. I should say not over 500,000. They're close. They're like 400,000. But they're going to hit 500,000 by election day and probably exceed that number. So you got that organized effort. You've got Pressler's group in there, and he was with us on Friday in Wildwood at the big rally we had for Jack. And Scott is very fired up, and he's just dedicating himself. Early vote action, Paula Scanlon, the whole crew, they're working. So they weren't there in New Jersey the last time. The other thing is that the Republican Party is working on getting people to vote by mail. Now that time has passed. Early in-person voting is about to start. I think early in-person voting is going to be huge because, again, there's an effort to get people out to vote early. There was not an effort to get people out to vote for Donald Trump. There just wasn't. All the resources were put into Pennsylvania. They had to be. So my friends who are county chairs, Republican county chairs, they all brought their people across the river. And now we've got the opposite happening. We've got Republican county chairs in Pennsylvania who are bringing it over to New Jersey to get the vote out over there. So these things that were not present in New Jersey the last time around are here. Pressler was not in Jersey. NJ Chase was the PA Chase. Now, these things are now in New Jersey going into this election. And the people who were coming, who New Jersey was sending people to PA, the PA people are now coming to New Jersey to help. All that's happening, and these metrics cannot be ignored. The other thing is Jack himself. I mean, Jack is working tirelessly, diner stops and he's hitting pizzerias and he's just nonstop going full force and he's not slowing down. Mikie Sherrill, on the other hand, is just praying that this election, well, I don't know if she prays, but is hoping that this election comes as soon as possible before more scandals break out. Now, there's another scandal related to her cheating at the Naval Academy, or at least a cheating scandal at the Naval Academy. That's going to break wide open again any minute now. It could happen during the show today. It could happen later. It could happen tomorrow. But I'm just told there's more to come on that. That story's not over. Then there's another factor, too, which is that I still think parents are very fired up over the issue of transgender issues in schools and sports and all these other things. And Mikie Sherrill's got a long history of being on that team, the team that says boys can play on your little girl's team. And it may seem like the issue's gone away, but it hasn't gone away. It's still very much present. It's still very much there. She's not denounced it. She hasn't come out and said, hey, I disagree with my party on this. You know, I'm going to protect women's sports. She hasn't done those things. So all these factors matter going into Election Day in New Jersey, which is now just a matter of weeks away. So getting out the vote is going to be critical. So like I said, on election night, whether it's whatever we're doing, whatever you're doing, whether you're at Jack's party or you're at home or where, if he wins, it's because the Republicans turned out to vote. So the numbers from the last election, 400,000 Republicans stayed home. Question that I was asked today, not on the air, but off the air was, well, why? And I said the reason why is because they didn't think the guy could win. They just didn't think he could win. They didn't think they had a chance. They thought it was hopeless. So a lot of Republicans just didn't bother. It wasn't that they didn't like Jack. You know, some people in the primary election tried to suggest that they stayed home because they didn't like him. That's BS. They just didn't think the guy had a chance. The polls were showing double-digit leads for Murphy. His Royal Rugness King filthy unaccountable, and people thought, you know what? Plus, it was 2021. The mail-in vote thing was not organized. The early in-person vote was not organized. There was still a tremendous amount of Republican resistance to it. That's gone. That's gone going into this election. So that was happening. And so now these Republicans, those same Republicans that stayed home, and he only lost by 80,000 votes, they now think he can win. In fact, many of them think he is winning. They look at the polls now and they say, these polls aren't that close. He's got this. You know, he's ahead. He's leading this, which is huge. And I think Mikie Sherrill is just a terrible candidate. I mean, sometimes it comes down to being as simple as that. It's just a bad candidate. Like Kamala Harris was a bad candidate. Mikie Sherrill's a bad candidate. Mikie Sherrill she looked good on paper. I mean, in the Democrat primary, everybody thought, oh yeah, she's the one that we should be afraid of the most. No. She turns out she's an empty suit. She's vapid, and there's just no there. And you don't know that sometimes until somebody runs statewide. They can look good on paper, and they get out there, they put their name on a statewide ballot, they start running in all 21 counties up and down the state. You realize it's a very different state depending on where you are. You know, there's the New Jersey coast, and there's South Jersey, there's North Jersey, there's Northwest New Jersey, there's this place called Central Jersey, which I don't really think exists. All very different. And then in the cities, where traditionally the Democrat vote is the strongest, well, they don't like her. You know, there's just no enthusiasm for her in the urban areas of New Jersey, like there should be for a Democrat candidate. And you don't have the same enthusiasm going into this. So you deal with a bad candidate and a well-organized operation on Jack's side. But just think about this for a second. Think about this notion that he was killing people because of the opioid epidemic. So he has a company, the pharmaceutical companies hire him to make marketing materials, and now the blood is on his hands. It's such a ridiculous, over-the-top attack that it doesn't land. And I think this is one of the key things about politics. When you go negative, it has to land. It has to be something that people can reasonably understand. It's not just a matter of you standing up there and going, oh, my opponent killed somebody. You go, wait, what? Oh, yeah, by his work printing documents for a pharmaceutical company, even though he wasn't writing scripts, even though they weren't writing the scripts, he's responsible. He's got the blood on his hands. And reasonable people turn around and go, I mean, that makes no sense. He's not a physician. It wasn't like he was running a pill mill. And in the shows, you know, these guys that used to have those pill clinics back in the day, we could walk in and just go, oh, my arm hurts. And they go, oh, here's 30 Oxycontin. You know, go and knock yourself out. We'll see you in a month. He wasn't doing that. So if you're going to make a negative attack, it's got to land because it's got to be reasonable. It's got to be something that the average person can understand. He raised taxes. Okay, that's a reasonable argument that somebody can understand. But Jack's not being accused of that. He's being accused of murder. And I'm not saying he raised taxes because he didn't have the opportunity to raise taxes. He was a state legislator in the minority. But it's the difference between an attack in politics that can stick and an attack that can't. But Mikie Sherrill, the attacks that he's landing on her, they can stick because she is, in fact, a Democrat who's voting to keep the government open. And she is part of a Democrat party that has gone compulsively woke. I mean, just freaking lost its mind. And that's her political party. And it's the party that's been in power for 25 years. In the governor's mansion, it's been in power. Well, I shouldn't say mansion. I mean, Murphy right now is at his palatial estate in Italy, his villa in Italy, just like the commoner that he is. But 2 terms of a Democrat in Trenton, 2 terms of a governor. And people go, all right, it's obvious who's in charge here. So that association right there. And she tries to say she's not Murphy, but she gives the guy a B. She grades him a B. I'm sorry. You don't give somebody a B if you're trying to run against him. In a change election, you got to give that guy an F. But it's the same problem Kamala Harris had. Why she never went after Joe Biden. When they asked Kamala Harris on The View that time, they said, what would you change? And she's like, I got nothing. Nothing comes to mind. I got nothing. We're all turning around looking at ourselves going, wait a minute, you mean to tell me that there's nothing you would change? Nothing? Then there's this issue of this $50,000 donation by this woman who's associated with the Chinese Communist Party. And this donation is crazy to me that Mikie Sherrill would take this money, but it's kind of not either because they're so desperate that you probably figure to yourself, all right, well, nothing's really gonna change, so might as well take the cash. But this idea of this person, and I'll give you some details about this $50,000 contribution from this individual linked to the Chinese Communist Party. And is it disqualifying? I think it's absolutely disqualifying. A businessman, not woman, excuse me, a businessman. Pin Lee, the founder of Wangxing America Corporation, donated $60,000, I said 50, $60,000 to the One Giant Leap super PAC backing Sherrill's campaign in the form of 2 checks, in addition to giving the $5,800 individual max donation directly to Mikie Sherrill's campaign. So there's no doubt that Mikie Sherrill took the money. And I haven't heard if Mikie Sherrill is going to be giving back that money, but the New York Post first reported this story, and it's a big deal. And one of the questions that I asked today was, we know the Chinese are buying up farmland all across America. We know that. We know it's a big problem. The Chinese Communist Party is buying up farmland. Are they going to be buying up Jersey farmland? Is Governor Sherrill going to let them buy Jersey farms? So if they're not condemning farms to build the high-density, quote-unquote, affordable housing, are they going to be condemning farms to give it to the Chinese Communist Party so the Chinese Communist Party can have their run of the show? And you know who else took money from the same person? Abigail Spanberger, the Democrat running for governor of Virginia. The question I had is, will the Chinese be buying up land outside the nation's capital? I mean, Virginia does border D.C. They did give up some of Virginia for the nation's capital when they formed it. So could that happen? I don't know. But I do know, though, it's a big problem. Political campaigns in the United States are only permitted to accept money from American citizens or permanent legal residents. And in addition to PIN's status being unclear, questions have been raised about the ethics of accepting money from individuals linked to the Chinese Communist Party. I'd say, I'm sorry, aren't the Democrats supposed to be the party that cares about human rights and oppressed groups and minorities? They just don't seem to care about the ones that are oppressed by the Chinese Communist Party. The donor Pin Lee has an extensive history of assisting the CCP's political warfare and influence operations upon the U.S. in the pursuit of communism as a lifelong ideal and practice, according to a 2021 press release that praised this guy for his pursuit of communism as an ideal. Also said that Guan Zhu, the late father of Pin Lee, has always listened to the Chinese Communist Party and followed the party. The press release by continued quoting President Xi Jinping and the praise of this Chinese businessman, saying he was in line with the party's central committee. And he was always actively doing what the party committee and the governments at all levels advocate. That's who Mikie Sherrill was taking money from. The founder's bio on the website for this Wang Jing company says he was elected as the 13th and 14th representative of the CPPCC and as a delegate to the 9th, 10th, and 11th Chinese National People's Congress, all at the top tier levels of the Chinese Communist Party hierarchy. So Fox News Digital reached out to the Sherrill campaign and said, hey, are you going to give the money back? And nothing. They got ungats. They didn't get an answer on that. Yeah. But it's amazing that here we are, October 14th, elections in a couple weeks, and she's on the defense. Man, that's a great place to be if you're Jack Ciattarelli. If you're the Republican going into this race, that is a great place to be. All right, a lot to get to today. It's going to be a busy show. We'll take the president live as he awards the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Charlie Kirk. His wife, Erica, will be on hand to accept the honor on her late husband's behalf. So a big show for you today as we get started. Don't go away.